The spirit of Hollywood. Bright lights, movie stars, directors and producers, walks of fame, gaffers. You know, I've never known the exact role of a gaffer. Tangela? I have no idea what that means.
A gaffer is the electrician on a set, sir.
Really? Does our show have one?
Not exclusively. It's one of Mr. Fletcher's many duties.
Such a versatile lad, that Kyle. Welcome to Creature Features. I'm Vincent, that's Tangela, and this wise chap to my right is Mr. Livingston. The reason I broached the subject of the spirit of Hollywood is because our guest tonight knows quite a bit about the spirits of Hollywood, namely the ghosts that haunt what is lovely called Tinseltown. Joining us this evening will be Miss Laurie Jacobson, a prolific author about all things Hollywood, including the numerous poltergeists that reside in that particular postal code. Laurie will regale us with tales of movie stars and ghosts that reside in that fantastical vector where the two converge. We'll also be watching one of her favorite movies, The Invisible Ghost, starring the legendary Bela Lugosi and some other lesser stars who are no doubt now surely ghosts themselves. So stay in your seats if you would, and we'll be right back with Laurie Jacobson on Creature Features. Kyle, you may now attend to your gaffing.
I'll get right on that.
And bring some gaffing tape. I'd like to put some on my shoes. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Creature Features. We are joined by a very special guest, Miss Laurie Jacobson, Hollywood writer, historian, actress, knower of famous people, expert on tonight's film, which is The Invisible Ghost. So, Laurie, thank you for coming.
My pleasure,
It's
Vincent.
so difficult to get people to come all the way out to the Bay.
So happy you asked me.
I know. Well, you live sort of close, right?
I do.
Well, that's good. So you didn't have to take a plane?
No.
Most of our guests have to fly here. We suggest helicopter, but none of them want to book one. And we won't book one either. So, you've seen this film,
I
Invisible
have.
Ghost, and you like it.
I do.
I've never seen it. Not once.
Oh, well, you're in for a great treat.
And it stars one of your favorite actors.
Yes.
Mr. Bela. Bela, right?
That is absolutely
Bela
correct.
Lugosi.
I was corrected by friends of his because for years I called him Bella.
Well, as would anyone else. I mean, that's the way it's spelled.
But now you know. It's Bela.
Well, you know what I learned is from Plan 9.
Ah!
Or the Ed Wood film.
Yes.
I saw that Ed Wood film before I saw Plan 9. So, all right, well, we're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about you. We're going to talk about your books. We're going to talk about this film. We're going to talk about my shoes for a moment, maybe. And but first, we've got to start this film. And don't give us any secrets till we go. It's got to be a surprise. It's going to be a surprise for me. Stay with us. We'll be back after the break.
Good evening, Evans. Evening, sir. Dinner is served, Mr. Kessler. Thank you. Good evening, my dear. You're more beautiful than ever this evening. Mrs. Kessler first, Evans.
Oh, yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
Evans, how's Dad taking it?
All right, Miss Virginia. They're having dinner.
I'll answer it.
Hello, Virginia.
I told you not to come here this evening, Ralph.
Why? Didn't you want to see me?
Well, it isn't that I didn't want to see you.
You're certainly acting strange, darling. What's all the mystery about?
Let's go into the library. You see, Ralph, Ralph!
After dinner, we are taking a long walk.
I'd like to speak to you, Ralph.
What's come over your father, Virginia? Is that why you didn't want me here tonight?
Yes.
It stopped me cold. I'm sorry if I accidentally stumbled on something you didn't want me to know.
Well, it must seem weird to someone who's never seen it before. It happens once a year.
You always appeared perfectly rational to me.
Well, there's something I must tell you. It's about my mother.
I don't understand.
Well, it happened several years ago. My father and mother were apparently as happy as two people could be. He worshipped her.
Another man?
The usual best friend. It almost broke my father's heart. He seems reconciled, but he never forgets their wedding anniversary and celebrates it that way.
Guess he isn't the only one who resorts to make-believe, but it does give one an uncanny feeling.
Well, it doesn't frighten me anymore. Now that you know.
I love you.
You wanted your coat, Miss Kessler.
Oh yes, thank you. I was going to take a drive. It's such a beautiful night. Come along?
Yes, of course.
Sure you don't mind going?
No, I'd love it.
We'll be back in an hour, Cecile.
Yes, miss. That's a nice young man of Miss Virginia's.
I guess so. If he wasn't, Miss Virginia wouldn't bother with him.
Does she plan to marry him?
I never discuss things that aren't my business. If you want to stay here, I suggest you don't be so curious.
Well, just the same, I think this is a crazy house. And what about those murders? Jules here says there's been a lot of them, and nobody's ever been able to find out who did the killings.
You talk too much, Jules.
But I always said that.
Excuse me, Mr. Seal. Come, I'll show you where we keep our linens.
Kessler. Oh, Mrs. Kessler, I brought you your dinner. Oh, please, Mrs. Kessler, I gotta go home.
Home? I want to go home, too.
Oh, but you are home. And as soon as you feel better, I'm going to take you to your husband and daughter.
But they never write to me.
Oh, but they don't know where you are, Mrs. Kessler. Nobody knows that but me. You see, I found
I'm
you.
running away. We're running away in a car. We're going faster, faster, faster. We're gonna crash. We're gonna crash. I can't go home now. Can I?
Mrs. Kessler, please, please eat your dinner. I've got to go home. I'll be back in the morning. Good night, Mrs. Kessler. Good night.
And welcome back to Creature Features. We're still with Miss Laurie Jacobson, Hollywood expert, historian, writer, actress, everything. I want to know everything about you. I mean, I've read things, but I want to hear it straight from the unicorn's mouth.
Well, wow, everything. Well, I'll summarize.
The good stuff.
The good stuff. I acted for quite a number of years. I was in a comedy improv workshop for at least 7 years where my as yet undiscovered classmates were Robin Williams and John Ritter and John LaRoquette and Scott Baio.
All these three men are dead.
Oh, John LaRoquette's alive.
Oh, is he? I thought he was gone.
I didn't want to be a jinx or anything.
I know, you frightened me. No, it was not you, it's this school. I was going to say, be careful, you should go to the doctor. Maybe there's something wrong with this school. So these are some famous people.
It was so, and that was.
You learned with them.
Yes, it was fantastic. We studied with a wonderful actor named Harvey Lembeck, who did
I've heard him.
He did quite a number of films and comedies.
Right.
And during that time, I was sort of discovering the history of Hollywood all around me. I was walking in the footsteps of history, and it fascinated me, and I discovered inside stories. You know, this was a time when people held their jobs for 30 and 40 years. So you could go to Schwab's drugstore, and the waitress that waited on me would say, you know, you're in Clark Gable's favorite booth.
I would love to sit in Clark Gable's favorite booth.
Totally. And how do you know that? Because I was here every Wednesday when he came in, and I would get these incredible stories. So I began writing them down and finding out what was really going on behind the veil of publicity.
This is like your intellectual side began taking over your artistic side and saying, I could write a book about this.
That is exactly what happened. And you couldn't make it any better if you were making it up.
Because you were at ground zero, right?
And these people led such dramatic lives, and to be there and meet their friends and their peers and the people that they worked with and really get the real story.
From the inside. Because most of the time you have these writers that like say, oh, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to fly to Hollywood and meet some people and talk to them. Whereas you were on the inside. You knew what was going on and you were able to write it with an insider's view.
And I was lucky enough to get there in time. Now, I moved to Hollywood in the mid-'70s, and there were still so many people.
And there was big changes.
There was still so many people.
The whole Hollywood system was going away, right?
Yes. The studio system had come to an end, and comedy was really burgeoning.
Right. Wow. All right. Well, we want to hear everything about this. We want to hear more, but we've got to get back to the film. I'm getting a signal that we got to start the film again. This is not a bad film so far. I mean, for a low-budget film, I think.
For a low-budget film, it's one of Lugosi's best.
All right. Well, let's see some more of one of Lugosi's best with The Invisible Ghost. Stay with us.
You're late again, Jules.
I'm sorry, Mama, but I just couldn't get away from her.
Jules, why don't you tell Mr. Kessler about his wife, that you're hiding her?
Oh, I haven't got the heart, Mama. It would kill him if he saw her the way she is.
Poor thing. She'd be better off if she died with that man when that car was wrecked.
I guess so.
Jules, I've been thinking, maybe she had something to do with all these horrible murders.
Oh, she wouldn't hurt nobody. She's like a child. She's still dazed from the accident, you know, amnesia. But she'll be better soon, then I'll take her home. But if they found out I've been hiding her, they might think I had something to do with the murder.
Jules, you must tell Mr. Kessler.
Oh, no, Mama. We must never tell anyone. Never.
Sure you won't come in?
No, thanks, darling. I think I better run along.
Good night, Ralph.
Oh, Virginia, shall I put your car away?
No, thanks. Evans will take care of it.
All right. Night.
Good evening, Miss Virginia.
Will you please put my car in the garage when you have a moment?
Yes, miss.
Hello, Casanova.
Have you gone crazy?
The only chance I had to see you. You ignored my letters and my telephone calls. Did you think that you could get rid of me as easy as all that?
Be quiet. They'll hear you.
You bet they will. And you're going to listen to me, too. I'm not giving up to that Kessler girl or anybody else.
But this is different, Cecile. I never said I loved you.
Are you in love with her?
Yes.
Well, you're not marrying her, understand?
Nothing's going to stand in the way of my happiness. Not even you.
Don't threaten me. She'll have to know about us sooner or later. And besides, I'll make you a good wife, Ralph. I promise I will.
Guess what?
What?
I'm in love.
Ralph?
Yes, Dad.
He's a fine boy. I am so happy for you, my dear.
Oh, he hasn't asked me to marry him yet, but he will. I know he will. Good night, my pet.
Good night, sweet.
Good night, Evans.
Good night, Miss Virginia. Can I do anything for you, sir, before I retire?
What happened to your hand, Evans?
Oh, nothing, sir. I heard it when I was putting Miss Virginia's car in the garage.
Put anything on it?
Oh, the bandage.
Oh, you may have an infection. How's that?
Just like new, sir.
I guess I'll eat for a while. Good night, Evans.
Good night, sir.
Oh, yes, Evans. Thank you for the dinner.
Yes, sir.
I'm afraid to come home. You'd kill me. You'd kill anybody.
Why, Mr. Kistler.
Exercise number 1. Stand erect. Arms at the side. At the count of 1, close hands.
Cecile!
The fists on the chest. At the count of 2, push arms stretched to the head. At the count of 3, lower arms sideways.
If it's exercise you want, there's plenty of it in the kitchen.
At the count of 4, lower the arms to starting position.
Cecile!
Stand straight. Arms at side. Ready. Begin. 1, up, down. 1, up, down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, up, down. 1, 2.
Mr. Kessler.
Yes?
Something terrible has happened. I tried to wake the new maid. I think she's dead.
Dead? How did it happen?
I don't know, sir. I thought she was taking her exercises.
Call the police. I'll see what I can do.
Yes, sir.
Well, Mr. Kessler, we're up to our ears in another one. The girl was killed the same way as the chauffeur 6 months ago. The only thing we could find was this note left by some fellow who wanted to give her the air.
It's terrible, Lieutenant. She was so young.
If we could find out who killed Cecile, we have the one who committed all the other murders.
That's easier said than done. There's never been fingerprints, to say nothing of motives. What gets me, Mr. Kessler, is why you refuse to move out of this place.
Sentimental reasons.
There's nothing very sentimental about a house where anything could happen and usually does.
My mother lived here, Lieutenant.
Oh, I see. You're the gardener?
Yes, but I wasn't here. I went home early. You see, I live with my wife.
All right. And please don't try to see me. Signed Ralph.
Ralph?
Do you know him?
Oh, I'm certain I don't. Well, the name startled me. I'm practically engaged to a Ralph.
Did you notice anything unusual last night, Evans?
Well, maybe I better not say.
Let's have it, Evans.
When I was putting the roaster in the garage, I saw Cecile talk to Mr. Dixon. That's Miss Virginia's wife.
Go on.
I didn't mean to listen, but they were talking loud. Then I heard him say that he never loved her. And she said she wasn't going to let him marry anyone else. And that made him real mad. And said nothing was going to stand between him and his happiness. Not even her.
I knew Cecile a couple of years. She offered me the companionship I needed. Then I met you and fell in love for the first time.
I love you too, Ralph.
Surely you can account for your activities from the time you left our house until the next morning.
No, Mr. Kessler. I had a lot to think about. I took a long ride into the country, didn't stop anywhere, and didn't see a soul I knew.
It's most unfortunate.
All I know is that I didn't kill her.
There isn't any doubt about that in our minds. Don't worry, son. We do everything we possibly can.
Order! Order in the courtroom. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes, I managed the apartments where Ralph Dixon lived. Miss Mannix came there often. As a matter of fact, I thought they were married.
I went home early and helped my wife with the house cleaning.
The coroner's testimony should convince you that the defendant had sufficient reason for wanting to be rid of the victim.
It's the truth. Said he would let nothing stand in the way of his happiness. Not even her.
We're doing everything we possibly can. Tomorrow we're going to see the governor. Oh, and I'm sure something can be done.
But, Governor, the man is innocent. If you would only grant a stay of execution.
If you knew him, you'd realize he couldn't possibly be a murderer.
I'm sorry. I've gone over the facts in the case, and unless you can present some new evidence, there's nothing I can do.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over.
Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Yes? I see. It's all over.
And welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. We are still with Miss Laurie Jacobson, who was telling me before the last break about how you went from being an actress to becoming a writer, and what inspired that by being in Hollywood and seeing all these things.
Well, I found that as an actress, I was a really great waitress. And as a writer, I actually started getting work.
Well, I imagine that's a good idea because I think more people buy books than they buy coffee or donuts.
Well, I hope so these days. But I wrote several books. I got invitations to turn them into documentaries. A wonderful producer by the name of Jack Haley Jr.
I've heard that name.
His dad was the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz.
I liked him.
Loved him and loved his son, and I worked with him for about 10 years on all kinds of wonderful projects in LA. I co-wrote and co-produced the 20th anniversary of the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and some wonderful documentaries.
So in doing these types of films and becoming this media mogul, you got to learn a lot about Bela Lugosi.
I did.
Well, tell me everything.
Well, you know, it's quite a surprise how much he had in common with Dracula, his most famous character. Well, they were both born in Transylvania.
He was.
They were both very superstitious and full of the folklore of the area.
Right.
And they were both really lady killers.
Well, Dracula did it in an improper fashion.
Yes. And who would have guessed...
Bela never killed anyone, did he?
Who would have guessed that the young Bela was irresistible to women?
Well, like how irresistible? Like fangs in the neck type irresistible?
Like he just... eroticism poured out of every pore. His best friend's wife said it was as if he could will you to go to bed with him.
That's frightening.
I'm sure you've heard things like this before.
I've heard this
yourself.
about Dracula, but not about Bela Lugosi. All right, I want to hear more about this, but I want to see some more of this film so I can see some evidence, because I think I need to see this in action. Are we going to see it in action in this?
A little, but he is a bit older in this film.
All right. Let's get back to The Invisible Ghost with the irresistible Bela Lugosi. We'll be right back.
My name's Dixon.
Yes. Of course.
I'd like to see Mr. Kessler.
He's in there.
I hope I'm not intruding.
Oh, Ralph.
Can't be.
Apparently my brother never told you about me.
Come in.
I've been in South America. I flew here at once. However, I'm afraid it's too late to do any good.
So you're Ralph's brother? Who knew about you, but I never expected such a striking resemblance.
Sorry to have startled you.
And this is my daughter, Virginia.
How do you do?
Won't you join us?
I've had my dinner, thanks, but I would like to talk to you.
Do I look pale?
No.
Huh? I feel pale.
The buzz, Evans. What's the matter, you deef?
Did he have a good attorney?
Oh, one of the very best. He's handled all of Dad's legal affairs for years.
Evans, Mr. Dixon will have coffee with us.
Oh, I'm Ralph Dixon's brother.
Well, you sure had me going for a minute. But you do look like poor Mr. Ralph.
Coffee.
Yes.
I realize how incriminating circumstantial evidence can be, but it's never brought home to me like this before.
We did everything we possibly could. You know, the Ralph and my daughter were quite serious about each other.
Yes, he told me in his last letter.
Sit down. How long do you plan to stay in this country?
Haven't decided yet, Mr. Kessler, but I would like to find out who killed that girl.
It's something I would like to know, too. Please consider this your home while you're here. If there's anything I can do, don't hesitate.
Oh, thank you.
I see that your room is put in order.
Sure I'm not troubling you?
No, not at all. Entertain forward till I come back.
Paul! Yes?
I'll show you to your room.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I almost forgot. I must see Evans about breakfast tonight.
Good night, Virginia.
Good night, Paul. Good night, Dad.
Come in. I hope you'll be comfortable. I sent for your luggage in the morning.
It's awfully nice of you, Mr. Kessler. Really, I hope
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, sir. Well, I guess I'll turn in. I haven't had much sleep the last couple of nights.
Good night.
Good night, sir.
Hello, operator. Give me the police department. No. The body has not been touched. Yes. All right.
Good morning, Evans.
Good morning, Mr. Kessler.
What's the matter?
The gardener, sir.
What?
He's been murdered.
Murdered?
Strangled. Well, here we go again. How long do you work for you?
Oh, about 3 years, I guess.
Ever say anything to you about having any enemies?
No, sir.
Were you home last night?
Yes, Lieutenant.
To your knowledge, did anybody come in or go out of the house during the course of the evening?
We have a house guest.
Why isn't he here?
I'll get him.
Oh, don't trouble yourself, Mr. Kessler. Where is he?
He's upstairs in his bedroom.
Let's have a look at him, Ryan.
Good morning.
You're wanted in the kitchen.
In the kitchen?
Yeah.
Am I seeing things?
He's Ralph's brother.
Why, he's the image of him.
How did this happen?
That's what we'd like to find out.
He was strangled, Paul. Would you mind if we go into the library?
No, that's all right. Better wait here for the coroner, Ryan. Not you, Evans.
Hey, where were you on the night of January the 13th?
Have you had your coffee yet?
No.
Well, I guess that's that. No clues, no fingerprints, no motive, nothing.
But surely if a man was choked to death, there would be imprints on his throat.
There weren't any on the Mannix girl.
And they were killed the same way. Is that right?
That doesn't prove a thing, Dixon. All the others got it, and always the same way.
The coroner's here.
Okay. I'll be right back.
What does he mean by the others?
Just that. Others have been killed here.
Why in the world do you stay in this place?
We can't leave.
Welcome back to Creature Features. We are still watching The Invisible Ghost. Well, actually, we were watching commercials, but now we're going to start watching Invisible Ghost again with Miss Laurie Jacobson, Hollywood expert, historian, writer, actor, actress. Do you like that? Are you like New Age, or do you go by the traditional actress?
I sort of like actress.
I do as well. I mean, it's such a feminine name, actor. It sounds like, hey, you're an actor. That doesn't sound very nice. So this film, I like it. You were saying during the break it was like this low-budget, terrible thing in the sense of the amount of money and attention that was paid to it. But it's a good film.
It is, and
you
he's
like
good
it.
in it.
And he was quite great in it. But I guess he was, you were saying he was irresistible before. I find him mildly resistible.
Well, I did say he was a little older here.
Oh.
Yes, he's in his late 50s in this
wow.
film.
Well, he looks pretty good for his late 50s.
Not bad.
In this film. And he was still, like, busy as an actor.
Yes, less and less, and drinking more and more.
No. Now, was this during the Ed Wood time?
No, not yet. He hadn't fallen upon the Ed Wood time yet.
That was like the bottom.
He had years to go.
Oh, wow.
And many drugs and lots of drinking and 5 wives.
At the same time?
No.
I can understand the drinking and the drugs if you have 5 wives at the same time. I mean, I have to pardon the man for that.
One lasted only 4 days.
4 days? What happened?
Well, you'd have to ask Bela, but...
What's the historical perspective?
Well, apparently he was a charming and amorous lover and suitor. But when he married you, he became jealous and paranoid and treated his women like a slave and demanded their attention 24 hours a day. And, you know, if you left the house and said you were going on an errand, he called that place to make sure that's where you were going. And it was really, really very unbearable.
So he was like Elvis.
Even worse.
Even worse than Elvis. Well, you know, I think he was the Elvis of Hungary. Well, what country? Romania?
Hungary. It was Transylvania that became part of Hungary.
You know, I need to learn some more about geography because, you know, since living in the States, all I know is like California and Nevada.
Well, that's all you really need.
More. We all need to travel
The rest is fly over to New York, right?
All right, well, let's travel back to this film, Invisible Ghost. And when we come back after the break, we're going to hear some more about Bela Lugosi and some other Hollywood ghost stories, I hope. Stay with us.
Oh, Evans. Your luggage, sir. I'll put them in your room.
What about these other murders?
I'll put your luggage in your room, sir.
Oh, Lieutenant. Yeah? I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Well, that'll be a change anyhow. What's bothering you?
As a rule, I'm not a very curious person, but...
I was beginning to get you, huh?
In a way, yes. What about these other murders?
Well, there's been quite a lot of them, Dixon. Some of the best brains in the department have tried to solve them. But we always run up against a stone wall.
Weren't the other murders brought out in my brother's trial?
That was different. That was a cut-and-dried case.
Why haven't the police closed the house?
Oh, we tried to, but Mr. Kessler took it to court. Carries a lot of weight around here. Does a lot of good, too.
You think he'd want to leave?
I guess he's waiting for his wife to come back. She left him several years ago. An awful scandal at the time. Front-page stuff and all that.
Poor devil. He didn't have a chance.
Well, I guess I'll be running along. Glad I met you, Dixon.
Good day, Lieutenant. Well, this isn't a very pleasant way to entertain a guest.
You know, Mr. Kessler, I have a feeling that somehow or other these mysterious murders are going to be cleared up, and quickly, too.
Nothing would please me more.
Your wife?
Yes.
She's beautiful.
I rarely talk about her, but I think about her constantly.
She has eyes like Virginia.
Her hair, her skin, they were the loveliest I've ever seen. I hope you have the pleasure meeting her. She'll be back someday.
Hello there.
Paul was admiring your mother's picture.
Father's a sentimentalist.
He has every right to be.
I'll get it. Hello? Yes? Just a moment, please. It's for you, Dad.
Thank you. Yes? Yes, I guess I can. Yes. Oh, in about 20 minutes, I'd say. Surely. Goodbye. I'll see you children later. Business. Sorry. That's the only information I can give you, Mr. Kirby. Have you notified his wife
Yes, Mr. Kessler. Poor thing, she took it quite hard.
It's terrible. Awful.
I want to see the coroner.
Yes?
I'm Jules' wife. Where have they taken him?
In there, Mrs. Mason.
If you please, sir. May I have one moment alone with him? I won't ever see him again.
Well, yes, I guess so.
Thank you, sir.
Mrs. Mason. Mrs. Mason. You'd better take her out, Mr. Kirby.
He's alive.
What?
He's alive. I saw him move.
I'll get the hospital. You'll be all right, Mrs. Mason. Steady now.
Get him out of here. He's not dead.
The doctor will be here any minute.
Jules.
Please, Mrs. Mason. Jules, listen to me. Did you recognize the man who tried to kill you? It was ghastly. I don't believe I was ever more startled in my life than when Mrs. Mason screamed.
It must have been a terrific shock to see him come back to life.
Yes, it was. Just a few moments longer, and I would have known who the assailant was.
I don't like to bring up the subject, Mr. Kessler, but these murders, did they ever happen in the daytime?
No, I don't believe so.
I see.
You evidently have some reason for asking.
Not particularly. I was just curious about that one point.
Yes, sorry dinner is late tonight, sir. But the new cook is having quite a time getting started.
That's all right.
Evan's been with you long?
Over some years.
Everything's gone wrong today. Now I burned the roast.
Oh, don't get so flustered. You'll be all right.
I was so anxious to make good, I want to say. Oh, is that mixing spoon?
Here it is. Right in front of you.
Thanks. I like it here. It's nice. Everything's so quiet and peaceful, like.
Ever read the newspapers?
No, they're just full of trash and murders and stuff.
What you don't know, well, it's all right. Here's your pepper salt.
Thanks.
Well, Paul, I'm afraid you have me cornered.
You still have a couple of moves, Mr. Kessler.
You've met your equal, Dad.
Oh, your father just got himself into a bad position.
You got me a storm. It's your game, Paul.
Want to play another?
No, thank you. Not tonight. It's getting late.
Pardon me, sir.
Yes?
But may I speak to you a moment, please?
Oh, yes, certainly.
The cook wants to leave. I thought you should know.
Why? She just came.
She feels as if her work is unsatisfactory. She had so much trouble with dinner tonight.
Why, that's ridiculous. Oh, I understand. It's her first day. I'll speak to her.
I'll say goodnight, Mr. Kessler. Think I'll turn in. Thanks for the game.
Good night, Paul.
Good night, Dad.
Good night, child.
I'll walk up with you, Paul.
Oh, glad to have your company. It's a long, lonesome climb up those stairs all alone.
Where are you going, Marie? You can't leave us after cooking such an elegant dinner.
Did you really like it, Mr. Kessler?
Why, I never tasted anything to equal that roast beef. Besides, you can't go now. It's going to rain in a minute.
Are you sure you want me to stay?
Certainly, Marie.
Well, I like it here, but I thought...
Oh, then it is settled.
Wait till you taste my apple pie, Mr. Kessler.
Apple pie? My, that will be a treat.
Oh, let me take this. You might as well unpack your things,
Yes,
Marie.
sure. Thank you, sir.
Not at all, Marie. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Kessler. Oh, he's a wonderful man.
Welcome back to Creature Features. We are watching The Invisible Ghost with Miss Laurie Jacobson. Now, you have written a book called Haunted Hollywood.
Actually, it's called Hollywood Haunted.
Well, but it's about Haunted Hollywood.
Well, some guy beat me to that title, so...
No.
Yes, many, many, many moons ago,
Oh,
so...
that's terrible. Well, I will buy your book and not that book. So, Hollywood Haunted. You have a story in there about Bela Lugosi haunting his own funeral.
Well, you know, it makes such sense because he did really have a huge ego. It makes perfect sense to me that he would want to come back and see his funeral, and it was grand. It was really wonderful. Hundreds of people lined the sidewalks, and he was laid out in his coffin in his Dracula cape and tuxedo, and
he wanted it this way.
His family,
because they know he did. He
would have loved it.
Right.
He would have loved it. You know, he
I
gave
would think.
interviews in coffins, and
Right.
coffins were kind of his thing. So here he
Like
was.
his trademark.
And I heard that there's a rumor that Karloff and Peter Lorre and Vincent Price came to the funeral to make sure that he was really dead.
Oh, proof of death.
So then they load the casket into the hearse, and the mortuary had an agreement with Hollywood that they wouldn't drive down Hollywood Boulevard with a funeral procession.
Oh, I could understand why.
Kind of depressing. So they had an agreement to go above Hollywood Boulevard. But Bela had loved Hollywood Boulevard, and it was a tradition of his to go there every day for his papers, his cigars, later for his drugs. They were bypassing his favorite section. And the hearse driver said that something took over the wheel. He really could not explain what happened. He is driving the path he is hired to drive, and suddenly the car veered down Hollywood Boulevard and very, very slowly went past all of Bela's favorite places. And then suddenly, control was returned to the driver.
And the driver thinks it was the ghost of Bela. Who was it? He was a backseat driver,
There
right?
you go.
I mean,
the ultimate backseat driver.
If you think about it, it's rather profound what you said, because somebody with a huge ego and a huge spirit, of course they're going to become a ghost, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, one lifetime is not enough for somebody.
That's what it's about. It's
but at least he had a sense of humor.
He
right?
did.
I mean, oh, I'm going to play a joke on you. Turn this way.
And now he may have seen the ghost of Lon Chaney Sr. on that little drive, because there was a bus bench on the corner of Hollywood and Vine. And when Lon Chaney Sr. first came to Hollywood, he sat at that bus bench and he caught a bus that went to all 6 of the major studios. And he went every day to every studio looking for work. And he was seen so often after his death sitting on that bus bench that the city actually put a plaque on the bench that said, "Be careful where you sit. You might be sitting on Lon Chaney Sr."
And this is in your book?
This is in my book.
I love these types of stories. I wish we could show movies like this. I like the movies we show, but I like ghost movies. You need to do a film.
Well, I did host Haunted Sonoma County.
Oh, Yes, I know this film. We had Mr. Tom on to talk about it.
Oh, I bet that was scary.
That was wonderful. We got to get back to the film.
Okay.
Let's get back to the film. We'll talk about this during the break and when we come back. And let's see the rest of Invisible Ghost with Bela Lugosi. We'll be back.
Now let's see. What did I do wrong?
Mr. Kessler? Mr. Kessler, are you ill?
What?
Something wrong?
Hello, Paul. I must have walked in my sleep.
Well, you did better than I. I couldn't sleep at all.
It's raining. Why don't you go to bed, Paul? I'm all right.
Is there anything I can do?
Nothing, Paul. Thank you. I think I'll read for a while. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Kessler.
And welcome back to the show. Miss Laurie Jacobson had to step out for a quick moment, so this is when we do our letters from you, all faithful viewers. Livingston, what's the first? Oh, this is interesting. He says, this is from Rollo, and he says, he doesn't say where he's from. He says, Dear Vincent, thank you for bringing horror films back to Saturday night. Keep up the good work, Rollo. P.S. Can Tangela take care of my pet tarantula Gruesome when I go on vacation? Well, Tangela's already got her own named Lilith, and if she might if they got along, but I don't know.
I think one is enough, sir.
I agree. What do we got next? Oh, this is a long one. To Mr. Thinks He's So Cool Vandal. Oh, this is not going to end well, is it? I've watched a few of these creature feature episodes you've done, and I've got to say I'm really not impressed. Bob Wilkins and John Stanley brought class and dignity to creature features, where you just bring a whole bunch of... I can't say this on the air, can I?
I believe not, sir.
Not a fan. R. Feldman in Walnut Creek, California. Well, normally we send people who write us letters a shirt, R. Feldman, but I think we're going to send you a bag full of that last word you typed. You know what it is. Next, we've got the final letter, and this one is from Donna Welka in San Jose, California. We get a lot of mail from San Jose.
They like us there.
Well, we like them now, right?
Yes.
I do. Dear Vince, you've mentioned a few of Tangela's creepy pets over the course of your show, but I was wondering if you have any pets. What about Livingston? Well, I wouldn't call them pets, but when we bought the house, there was many goats, and I don't know if they're actually part of the house, but they live here. So we've got goats, and they're rather pet-like, right? I mean, you pet them. What denotes a pet? If you could pet it?
If you can pet it, yes.
So a pet is something you can pet. So we could pet the goats, so we have pet goats. And of course, Tangela has Lilith here, which is, I hope she keeps that ghastly thing away from me. In Livingston, have you ever had pets?
I have an ant farm, sir.
An ant farm.
I find them quite fascinating.
Does that explain the problem we're having in the kitchen?
Mine do not get out, sir.
Yeah, all right. Ant farm. That's it for letters. If you send us a letter, we will probably send you some kind of gift in the mail. It might be a shirt, it might be a couple of rocks that Tangela found on the estate, or it could be something as significant as a diamond bracelet. You just never know. But we have to read your letter on the air. So if you don't send us a letter, we have nothing to read on the air, and you will get nothing. If you want to write to us, use the address below. And if you want to just buy a shirt, we've got a place you can go. It's like our website, right?
Yes, sir.
And the address for that is appearing under my foot as well, isn't it?
It appears to be.
All right. Stay with us.
Well, you look like you had a good night's sleep, Mr. Kessler.
I was so tired when I got to bed, I don't even remember climbing in.
Dad! Who would do a thing like that?
I wonder if anyone was hurt.
Nothing could have hurt my father more.
It's unquestionably the work of a madman.
You're right, Evans.
Yes, sir, Mr. Kessler. Good morning, sir.
Where is the new cook?
She says she'll go shopping first thing this morning.
Have you looked in your room?
No, sir. Something wrong, Mr. Kessler? There's a valise. She didn't leave.
I'm not worried about that. When did she tell you she's going to the market?
Last night before she went to bed.
Do you think there's any connection between this and what has happened before?
I don't know.
Have you been through the rest of the house yet?
No, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Kessler.
Oh, Marie. You have no idea how happy I am to see you.
Thank you. I wonder why he was so glad to see me.
Mr. Kessler thought you had been murdered.
Oh, he's so sweet. I'm going to start to make that apple pie. Murdered?
I can't imagine who would do a thing like that.
I'll get it.
Good morning, Miss Kessler.
Won't you come in?
Thank you.
That happened last night.
Didn't it fall?
No. Find me the person who did it and you've got your murderer.
Nobody came into this house last night. Ryan and his boys were stationed outside.
Lieutenant. Oh, Lieutenant.
It's Ryan.
Then you didn't hear any noises during the night?
No, but there's funny things going on around here.
Meaning what?
Well, this happened 3 times now. I put food on the sink, left the room. When I come back, it was gone.
No. You ought to hire a detective to watch it.
That's what you get for being such an excellent cook.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Oh, Lieutenant. Yeah? You got something? I don't know. I found this in the picture.
Anybody else know about it?
No, I wanted to speak to you first.
Okay. I'll see if I can match it. Keep the others downstairs.
Why not?
I agree.
Is this yours, Mr. Kessler?
Yes. Why?
I thought I'd seen it on you. Found it in Evans's room.
Well, there's nothing strange about that.
There wouldn't be, Mr. Kessler, but it so happens that a thread from this robe was found embedded in the picture.
Surely you're not trying to accuse Evans.
Oh, it's incredible. You're just trying to make a case.
Well, somebody's been doing these killings. Ryan didn't die of heart failure. Don't forget that.
When did you give Evans that robe, Mr. Kessler?
I don't remember giving it to him at all. But naturally, when my things need mending, he just picks them up.
I don't care how he got it. He had it and he used it on that picture. I'm going to talk to him.
Just a minute, Lieutenant. Yeah? If Evans is the man we want, it strikes me you've got to have more evidence.
Now, everybody wants to be a detective.
Now, wait a minute. Perhaps Paul has some suggestion.
All right, go ahead. What is it?
Without doubt, the murderer is insane. The picture tells us that. I believe we should call in a psychiatrist.
A psychiatrist?
You still got the robe. But before Evans is accused, I'm definitely in favor of giving him a sanity test. What do you say, Lieutenant?
Okay. Maybe I better take one myself. All we want to know is if the fellow's crazy.
That's very easy to determine. Shall we make the examination here?
If you don't mind, Doctor. Please tell Evans I want to see him and then go up to your room.
Go to my room.
Is it possible, Doctor, for a man to be normal, say, for 2 or 3 months at a time, then go completely insane for an hour or two?
Yes, quite common.
This should be most interesting.
Now what?
A fuse must have blown.
I light the candles.
The fuse burned out, Miss Virginia.
Oh, thank you. My father wants to see you, Evans. He's in his room.
Yes, miss.
That'll have to do, gentlemen, until the lights are fixed.
I'll be in my room, Evans.
Yes, miss. I'm sorry, Mr. Kessler, but we ran out of fuses. I sent Marie over to the store to get some more, sir.
That's all right, Evans. Sit down.
Pardon me, sir.
Oh, go ahead, Evans. Sit down. We want to talk to you.
All right, sit down.
Do you want to speak to me, sir?
This gentleman would like to ask you a few questions, Evans.
Yes, sir.
Do you know these men?
Yes, sir.
What's this gentleman's name?
Mr. Kessler. Mr. Charles Kessler, sir.
Would you say that Mr. Kessler is out of his mind?
I don't understand you.
Would you say that he is insane?
No, sir.
Mr. Randall would not appreciate you playing his guitar. But it's better than bucket wrench.
young lady. What are you doing here?
You can't take it. You can't take it. It's mine, I tell you.
Okay, sister, it's yours.
Leave me alone. I'm going home. Home to my husband. And my daughter.
Of course you are, and we know where you live, too.
You do?
Sure.
But I'm dead, you understand? I'm dead.
Of course you are. I'll take you where you want to go. Now you just come with me, young lady.
Tell me, Evans, do you think this man is crazy?
Now, don't ask him that, Doc. I'm beginning to have doubts myself.
Please, Lieutenant.
Oh, all right, all right. Am I crazy?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I know that woman. She's wicked. She can't go home.
Yes. Yes, I know. She's bad. Now you come with me. There we are.
Ever see this before?
Yes, sir.
What were you doing with it last night?
I don't know what you're talking about, sir.
What we found.
Miss Kessler.
I'm dead, Charles. Do you hear me? I'm dead. I'm afraid to come home. You'd kill me. You'd kill anybody.
It's Kessler.
Take her out, quickly.
Mr. Kessler!
Oh, Dad!
Get back in there! Close that door!
Now you sit right there, and we'll see that you get home all right. Give me a hand, George. She's dead.
What happened here?
We've got the murderer.
Evans.
No, Mr. Kessler. You.
I knew you'd come back. Nothing can part us now, my darling.
And so ends The Invisible Ghost. He was done in by his own brother. Can you believe that? These things happen. We're done with this film. Let's talk some more about you and what is in the future for Miss Laurie Jacobson, famous Hollywood writer, actress, and historian.
Well, I'm hosting Haunted Wine Country.
Now, this is the sequel, or the second installment of Tom Wersh's film. Tom Wersh is our local creature feature expert and haunted Sonoma County historian. Well, he's done other films as well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I believe 10 altogether now.
I could see why you two partner, because he films historical things and you write about them.
I've learned so much about this area because of Tom Wersh.
So what are you doing in this film?
I will be talking all about ghosts of the wine country, Napa, Sonoma.
And there's a lot of them here.
Oh, yes.
From what I understand.
Well, yes. And wonderful Wild West ghosts. And
I like Wild West ghosts because they have nice hats. No, but have you ever seen a ghost, personally?
I have not seen one, but I have experienced them. And I've seen them, lift things and make them move and create smells and noises, but I have never seen one materialize in front of me. And I'm okay with that.
Well, I think we need to show another ghost film and have you come back and tell us everything about Sonoma County ghosts. Because, most people who watch our show have not seen enough of Hollywood to care about Hollywood ghosts, but they might like a wine country ghost.
I agree.
I'm from that area, Hollywood. I do like the Hollywood ghosts, so, and I think you would too. So how can they buy your books?
All my books are available on Amazon.
Amazon, Amazon is a thing on the internet where you can buy things. So
yes.
How do you find it? Amazon.com. Right?
Amazon.com, or they can go to lauriejacobson.com.
Oh, you do have a website.
I do.
And it's
I was hiding it from you.
lauriejacobson.com. Boom. So wonderful. It was such a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
We've been trying to get her for a long time, and this was like pulling teeth. But we got you now, and you'll come back, right?
I will.
Can you promise?
I had a marvelous time.
We had a more marvelous time because you're a good guest. We only get good guests like once every month or 2 months. Thank you, Laurie.
Thank you, Vincent.
And you, our wonderful audience, thank you for staying with us and putting up with the likes of me. And hopefully next week we will have another movie that's perhaps better than this one, but it probably won't be. So you can look at the TV guide and watch something else. But please, watch us for a minute. We'll see you next time. So, Miss Laurie, as an author, I'm thinking I might be an interesting topic for one of your future books.
Well, you might be right, but I'm not sure if anyone would buy it.